Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Number 9, Oklahoma State. Number 22, Kansas State. A game that is huge when it comes to the Big 12 standings. The winner keeps their Big 12 title hopes alive. The loser takes their second conference loss and is most likely out of that title race. The stakes are going to be high in Manhattan. And today, guys, we are here to break down everything you need to know for this game between the Cowboys and the Wildcats and who will win this huge Big 12 showdown. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks over there, guys, beating out over 80% of the national analysts each of the last 4 years, hitting 90% of our bets last week, both on the money line, 92% there, and against the spread. You do not want to miss out on these picks, guys. We're killing it this year, and we want you to take advantage of it as well and become a part of our GE Nation. So go check it out. A link for that down in the description below. So let's take a look at this game, guys. Again, it's a huge one. It's an underrated matchup, I feel like. You know, all eyes are going to be on Penn State, Ohio State. All eyes are going to be on Tennessee, Kentucky at night. But this game, mid-afternoon game, is huge. And it's huge for Oklahoma State because obviously they are not just in the running for a Big 12 championship, but they are in the running for potentially the college football playoffs. Only one loss to a good TCU team. If the Cowboys were to win out and win the Big 12 title, they would have a very good case to make the college football playoffs. Kansas State, they are out of playoff discussion, but far from being out of the Big 12 title discussion, which means they could still make a New Year's Six bowl game. And they need this win to keep those hopes alive. Oklahoma State has won 3 straight in the series, though, including an 11-point victory over the Wildcats last year. But I have a feeling we'll be in for a little bit of a closer game on Saturday. You take a look at the offense, guys. Spencer Sanders, he is the Oklahoma State offense. It's a Spencer Sanders show over in Stillwater. The guy's thrown for over 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. That's the number that impresses me the most. The fact that he's taken such good care of the football. A guy who had been a turnover machine in the previous 3 years as a starter, only 4 interceptions so far this year. Also has over 350 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. He's been unbelievable, has put the offense on his back. They're averaging over 310 passing yards per game. They're averaging over 150 rushing yards per game. So all things considered, relatively balanced for Oklahoma State this year. Obviously a team that wants to air it out, obviously a team that wants to rely more on their quarterback, but they have a solid running back. Dominic Richardson, over 450 yards on the year, 8 rushing touchdowns, but the kicker for him is he's only had 1 100-yard game. He only rushed for over 100 yards one time. That was only back in week 2 when Oklahoma State took down Arizona State. But the Cowboys do a very good job of spreading the wealth, guys. So Richardson kind of picks up a little slack on the ground game. He's a reliable option. 6 different players have at least 100 reception yards. Bryson Green leads the way with over 450 yards. Brennan Presley right behind him, well over 400 reception yards. This is a very good Oklahoma State pass-catching core and one that really is a great compliment to what Spencer Sanders has been doing so far this year. Kansas State offensively, that's the question heading into the game, isn't it? That's the million-dollar question. Who's going to be quarterback, right? As of this video, we do not know who the quarterback is going to be. Even Chris Kleiman said, I don't know exactly if it's going to be Adrian Martinez, who has been the starter all year but was injured last week against TCU, or if it will be Will Howard, who stepped in for Adrian Martinez last year, junior quarterback who has seen a little bit of action in previous years when Skylar Thompson went down, and Will Howard actually coming in last week throwing for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns, trying to keep Kansas State alive in that game before they ultimately fell by 10 to the Horned Frogs. And if you're a Kansas State fan, you can go either way here. You could take Adrian Martinez, who's been your starter all year, who's been the veteran quarterback, if you will, who has 907 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, takes good care of the football, but he's not much of a passer. We haven't seen him have to put the team on his back and win it solely through the air. We know he likes to run the ball, 565 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. So Adrian Martinez paired with a healthy Deuce Vaughn, who has over 700 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on the year, makes a very difficult duo for any defense to stop. If Martinez going to keep it, is Vaughn going to keep it? Are you going to hit Vaughn out of the backfield? You don't know what to expect. So do you want your veteran quarterback in there like Adrian Martinez, or Do you want to put Will Howard in there, who, yes, is a backup, but has plenty of experience, not just from last week against TCU, but in the previous years, and is more of a passer? So do you want the more dual-threat quarterback in Martinez, or do you want the better passer in Will Howard? You have to weigh those options, especially when you realize that Oklahoma State has one of the worst passing defenses in the country. So is that something that Adrian Martinez, if healthy, would be able to exploit? The Cowboys are giving up over 303 passing yards per game. Will Howard more than likely will be the better guy to exploit that, more of a pocket passer, more so than Adrian Martinez, to exploit the Oklahoma State defense than Martinez could. Something to keep in mind there. I mean, the Cowboys gave up 319 yards through the air to Texas, 286 passing yards to TCU, 379 passing yards to Texas Tech, 345 passing yards to Baylor. They are not good in the secondary. They're winning the majority of those games. They're getting the job done because their offense is so good and can offset that. But if I'm Kansas State, I'm almost maybe leaning towards Will Howard, thinking he gives me the best chance to exploit Oklahoma State's weakness. The Cowboys give up 146 rushing yards per game, so I do believe that Deuce Vaughn will have a solid game. I do believe that Adrian Martinez did get the start and was healthy enough to go. He would be able to put up quite a bit of yards on the ground as well. Oklahoma State lately has struggled against the run, 204 rushing yards to Texas, 224 yards to TCU. But what Oklahoma State ultimately does, guys, we tell them how bad they are in the secondary and things like that. What they do a very good job of is creating pressure. 18 sacks so far on the year. Struggled a little bit last week against Texas. Didn't pressure Quinn Ewers that much, but did have 3 interceptions in that game. So secondary actually coming up big in a different way to beat Texas in Stillwater. When you take a look at Kansas State's defense, to me, they have the edge, right? Chris Klieman is an excellent defensive coach. He and Kansas State own the edge defensively heading into this game. The Wildcats allowing just 19.7 points per game, just 230 through the air, so well under the Oklahoma State average, almost 100 yards less per game than Oklahoma State is averaging on offense. And then 144.6 rushing yards per game is all that the Wildcats are giving up. That's all they're giving up. Now, similar to Kansas State's quarterback situation, Kansas State needs to hope their defense is fully healthy. They were really beat up after that TCU game. A lot of injuries, a lot of players off the field. Hopefully nothing too serious. We didn't believe they were, but you need to hope this team comes back because this is a physical Oklahoma State offense, not one where Kansas State can kind of take their foot off the gas and relax a little bit. They're fast, they're explosive, they can put up a lot of points in a very short amount of time. We talked about Oklahoma State and their pressure and how good they are. Ironically, Kansas State is better in that category. The Wildcats, 20 sacks and 9 interceptions. So they are great at creating pressure. Oklahoma State's line has held up relatively well, but might struggle a little bit on Saturday. 20 sacks on the year for the Wildcats, 9 interceptions. But one thing to keep in mind with the passing defense, again, for Kansas State, is they've given up over 280 passing yards in 3 of the 4 Big 12 games they've played. The only exception to that was their 10-9 victory over Iowa State, where they held the Cyclones to under 200 yards passing, a Cyclones offense that has struggled a little bit so far this year. But all the other games Kansas State has played against, Oklahoma and TCU and guys like that, over 280 passing yards in each of those games. They've got to find a way to shut down Spencer Sanders, who is just playing phenomenal football, arguably the best football of his career. So what is going to happen, guys? What's going to happen in Manhattan, the Little Apple, right? What's going to happen at Kansas State? Ironically, Kansas State, despite some questions at quarterback, despite being the lower-ranked team, things like that, is a slight favorite heading into this game. Home field advantage certainly playing a role in that decision. The Wildcats are about a 1 to 1.5 point favorite over the Cowboys. But ultimately, guys, I've got to pick Oklahoma State here. As much as I think it would be fun to pick an upset, right, and to see some chaos in the Big 12, I love this Oklahoma State team. This is a team that, to me, continues to defy the odds. Not many people thought they'd beat Baylor on the road. They did it, and they did it in convincing fashion. Not many people thought they beat Texas last week. Oklahoma State was a 6-point underdog at home against Texas. We said, that's ridiculous. We're picking the Cowboys. They came through for us and delivered, beat the Longhorns. They only lost to TCU by 3 in overtime, a game they led by 17. This is a good Oklahoma State team that I don't think people are giving enough credit throughout the year. And I don't know if it's because of the schedule. I don't know if it's because of the defense. But this is a good Oklahoma State team. Mike Gundy is a phenomenal coach, and he's dangerous, as we know, as a road underdog. I believe Oklahoma State comes in here. I don't believe that Kansas State, regardless of whose quarterback, exploits that defense enough. I think Martinez, if he starts, Oklahoma State's fine. Oklahoma State will have a bit of a tougher time if Will Howard is the starter, but regardless, I don't have faith in him delivering a full 60 minutes. Oklahoma State's offense shows up, shows out. They take down Kansas State. The Cowboys remain in the Big 12 title hunt. They remain in the playoff hunt, and they had a very favorable final 4-game stretch to where things could be very, very interesting come Big 12 championship time in early December. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. You do not want to miss out on those picks, guys. Better than 80% of the national analysts each of the last 4 years. The picks are already up on the site, so go sign up, take advantage of them today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.